The Haig family may not have been aware of all the events surrounding Kevin Brinkley's trial, but the man who prosecuted Brinkley remembers the details of that case to this day. And former Assistant District Attorney Gerald Dugan still doesn't buy Ronnie's confession. Dugan's theory remains that Ronnie's confession is a Brinkley family scheme. He believes the Brinkleys want Ronnie to take the rap because he was a juvenile at the time of the shooting. And because of his age, the law is more lenient. Are you still convinced that Kevin Brinkley killed the Eggman?
Absolutely.
Why?
There's a variety of reasons. Obviously, the jury was convinced beyond a reasonable doubt. There were eyewitnesses who testified, most specifically two witnesses, Adrian Williams and Johnny Schofield. Both of those eyewitnesses testified they had known both Ronnie and Kevin for years. They knew they didn't look anything alike, and the jury got the opportunity to examine the differences because we brought Ronnie into the courtroom. Both of them said unequivocally that Kevin Brinkley killed the Eggman.
Isn't it true that you had to subpoena Johnny Schofield to testify?
Absolutely.
He did not testify of his own volition?
Because he said he was absolutely terrified. He asked for 24-hour police protection for 2 months after he testified because of his fear. He specifically told us, and of course he wasn't allowed to testify to this in front of the jury, and I think it's important that everybody know there's a great deal of evidence in this case in addition to what the jury heard, all of which implicates Kevin Brinkley. Johnny Schofield said he was terrified and had been warned that if he testified, his life and that of his family was in jeopardy. In spite of that, Johnny Schofield came forward, testified, and identified Kevin Brinkley as the person who he watched kill the Eggman.
And he's dead.
I've learned that he is dead. I think it's important that some other evidence be identified as to the guilt or innocence of Kevin Brinkley. People talk about Ronnie Brinkley having confessed to this crime. There's some suggestion that maybe Ronnie Brinkley having confessed to a crime indicates Kevin is not guilty. It's pretty easy to identify when you look at Ronnie Brinkley's confession that with all due respect, he was essentially confessing to a different crime. Ronnie Brinkley says, number one, that there was one gun involved. The non-deceased Eggman says there were two. Ronnie Brinkley says that it was a struggle over a gun and the gun went off accidentally. The non-deceased Eggman says, in fact, that Charles Haig had his hands in the air when he was shot through the chest. Ronnie Brinkley says that after the shooting, he walked away. All of the witnesses, including those who can't identify either Ronnie or Kevin as the shooter, and the non-deceased Eggman.
This is the other delivery man that was on the truck.
That's correct. He says, as do all the other witnesses, some of which can't identify either one of the brothers, all the witnesses say that the Eggman started to run, that Kevin Brinkley yelled, "Stop and lay down or I'll shoot you again," and that Kevin Brinkley then went over, knelt down in the back of the Eggman, and went through his pockets. Ronnie Brinkley's confession is talking about a totally different version of an event in the sense that there was no robbery and there was an accidental shooting. And it's also important that everyone know that the confession Ronnie Brinkley gave was recanted by Ronnie Brinkley. He gave a statement to the Philadelphia Police Department. He was then given a polygraph. That polygraph result was inconclusive. They gave him 2 more polygraph tests. They were both inconclusive.
Why didn't you test Kevin?
Well, the DA's office doesn't give polygraphs, number one. Ronnie Brinkley was given 3 polygraph tests, and Ronnie Brinkley was inconclusive on all 3. When eyewitnesses, carloads of them, come forward, only 2 were called to testify. But the only person who has ever said he was involved in this homicide, being Ronnie Brinkley, was Ronnie himself. Every person on the street who saw part or all of this homicide, none of which had motive to lie, none of which we've ever been able to fathom had a motive to lie, every single one, without exception, said Kevin Brinkley is the killer.
The prosecution's other witness against Kevin Brinkley was a young woman named Adrian Williams. At the time, she was 16 years old. She told the jury that she saw the shooting from her window and that Kevin pulled the trigger. Now she says her testimony was not the truth.
They was asking me a lot of questions. It seemed like an intimidating thing, like, now I know because I'm older,
Sure.
But then I felt like if I don't do this, my brother would be involved.
Okay, Adrian, let's just run by one more time because it's very, very important. On the afternoon of the 22nd of December, did you see who shot the Eggman?
No, I didn't.
Did you testify in court that Kevin shot the Eggman?
Yes.
Why?
I was scared.
But when you testified in court that Kevin shot the Eggman, you didn't know that it was true?
No.
Do you think that an innocent man has been in jail for 15 years for something he didn't do?
Too long. Yes.
Why are you coming forward now?
Because I've been waiting for somebody to talk to me about it. Because I've been scared and stuff, like, to even, like, go places and stuff like that. And I know it's wrong, but I didn't know at the time.
It's okay. It's okay. What do you think should happen?
No innocent man belong in jail.
Adrian Williams, your second eyewitness,
Right.
sat in that chair yesterday and tearfully said that 14 years ago she lied. She said she heard the kids on the block say that Kevin was the shooter. She did not see the shooter. She thinks Kevin Brinkley is innocent. We've got it on tape.
That's real curious because Adrian Williams, who with absolutely no identifiable motive to come in and lie, came into the courtroom and said, I've known both of these brothers for 7 years, had no motive to lie as it relates to either one of them, and came in without any pressure from anybody that's ever been identified, nor did she say in the courtroom or to anyone else that I've ever met, say that she was coerced in any way, and said Kevin Brinkley was the killer.
Is it within the realm of possibility that the Philadelphia Police Department or officers representing the police department would say to Adrian Williams, if you don't go with this story, your brother's going to get arrested?
Dugan says he knows one of the police assigned to the case extremely well, and in his opinion,
And I think the chances of that are 0.